Welcome to the People's Guild.
Each week we explore the Splinterland universe with guests from all across the mythical land of Praetoria.
Join us on our journey as we discuss the evolution of the game, the strategy, the lore, and the exciting path that lies ahead.
To support the People's Guild, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and also check us out on PeakD, YouTube, and Twitter.
Send your questions, suggestions, and epic battles in our comments through Twitter or email at thepeoplesguildspl@gmail.com. We'll feature the best in our episodes and maybe airdrop you some prizes.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode, another great guest. Been chomping at the bit I feel like we say this every week. Been chomping at the bit to get this guy on for all of 2024, probably extending back to 2023. If I looked close enough at the messages and the correspondence between us, but yeah, really happy to bring this guy to the show. Excited to hear where this conversation leads, and yeah, you probably know him from Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter. Yeah, welcome to the show, Dejota DJ. Great to see you, man.
Hey.
Congratulations on the wedding, bro. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I know you have been asking me to come on for a while, but like I was telling you before we came on live here, that I was just like, oh man, this is like a big deal, like just coming onto this show. So like I had to warm up to it a little bit. So
Well, definitely glad you're here, man. Love you got a lot of great ideas, a lot of participation in the TPG challenges. We're just joking about, I guess you didn't get this latest one in on time, because I was going through, I saw your Peak D post. I was like, oh, this is really good. I like it. And then I was going through the list Jangles I put together of all the people, and I didn't see you on there. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I think I like DJ's the best though, out of kind of all of them. I feel like a lot of people were trying to do stuff with like maybe a little too complicated, with things happening for a certain amount of turns, and just kind of got like a little too convoluted. I thought you kept it like simple and sweet, and I really liked it. So we might have to get a write-in campaign going for yours, or at least maybe I'll kick that off.
nice. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know it was the 11th hour at that point. I clearly just missed the you want to know, like, the truth is I got it done, right? And then literally I'm like putting in the keywords, right? Like I had to go back and like, oh, what's the keyword again? Oh yeah, TPG challenge, right? And my laptop's is about to die, and I'm just like, oh man, all right, gotta get this in. Literally, as I'm about to hit submit, it like just dies, and then I was like, oh, I gotta go plug this in. I plugged it in. I came back like maybe 3 hours later and hit submit. So I probably just missed it.
Well, for anybody who wants to see DJ on there, I did comment you can count a vote towards DJ. Just drop it in the comments on the vote tally, and yeah, it will qualify as a vote.
I can still participate in part 2, right? Just for fun.
Yeah,
regardless.
part 2, part 3, definitely.
All right, great. Yeah. So,
I mean, the name of the game is really just getting as much participation as possible. That's kind of how I view it. The prize is the icing on the cake, and yeah, we have had some anonymous donors contribute quite a bit for this this Dominion challenge. I think we got 3K SPS and a bunch of Chaos Legion packs, so it's a hefty prize pool.
Nice. Yeah, I think you have a few Rift Watcher packs too, but I don't remember if I remember correctly.
I think we do.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, I love this idea of the TPG challenge, by the way, and it's to me, it's been, I know there's been a bunch of people in our community who are trying to like move more towards participating on Hive, the Hive ecosystem, and this has been such an easy way for like me personally to like get more involved. So thank you guys for that, by the way.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I didn't know what to expect from it. I think there's always been, especially the timing that we kind of initiated this TPG challenge thing, the rift between Hive and Splinterlands, and I felt like this was a good opportunity. It could have gone either way. But this particular challenge was our biggest yet. I think there were 20 submissions, which is just awesome. Um, yeah, so I've been really excited and encouraged to see the community kind of embrace and run with the TPG challenge. People, we've got such a solid community, man. People are so creative. People have all of these skills that are relative to some aspect of pushing the game forward and just putting their ideas out there. So it's been really encouraging and awesome to see the number of submissions, number one, and the quality of submissions, number two. It's been good.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm also noticing like the amount of like people in our community who are like utilizing different AI tools to like just make really creative stuff. Even outside of the TPG challenges, right? It's just like, I mean, the stuff that's like I'm seeing out there is just like so cool. And it's just like it's being made by people who are like amateurs at this stuff. So I can't imagine what kind of things we're going to be able to like put out there, in a couple of years.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm sure you've seen it, DJ, but Hep, I don't know if you've come across it yet. The Brave Tofu, shout out to our buddy Brave. He has done some absolutely amazing short video deliveries on the most recent one might be my favorite. It's like a Dr. Blight story and um yeah, the music, the feel, the artwork, he just absolutely nailed it. And like you said, it the finished product is very cool, but the fact that Tofu is like walking through the steps of how he arrived at that finished product is awesome. So he's not gatekeeping any of the tools. He's openly displaying, these are the steps that I took to achieve this finished product and sharing it with the community and ideally empowering other folks to do the same. I don't think there's a better way to convey lore in a compelling way than these short videos. Like I would love ultimately to see these shorts available for every, major character, if not every character in
Mhm.
Splinterlands in the future. Like these short videos should live on the lore page, in my opinion. And that Dr. Blight one, if you haven't seen it yet, Brave Tofu did just set up a YouTube account. He's got, I think, 3 or 4 short videos there for viewing as of now. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I liked the Oshore one as well that he made in terms of like new player experience, kind of like I could foresee some of those videos living like on the actual website and like you like, oh, I like this card looks cool, and like there's like one of those little tabs up there, you just like click on it and she like basically runs you through like what her like the abilities are and stuff and like how you can use her in battle. I was like, this is freaking cool. But yeah, the Dr. Blight one too that he made, I thought was really sick. I was like, oh, I want to see more. Like, where's part two? Like, what did he do next?
yeah.
Need
So
this to be a show, man. Bring back Splinterlands TV. I mean, you just run these shorts half the time.
yeah,
Get like half-hour long episodes of it.
It's
yeah,
brilliant stuff, man. And you're absolutely right, DJ. Like the realm of content being covered is very different between the Oshur and the Dr. Blight. Dr. Blight was more like short story. Oshur was introducing her character, introducing her ability kit. How can these abilities, help your team? Man, it, it's the best sales pitch for Oshur I've ever seen. Like, bring it
yeah,
on. Put it on
yeah.
the market page. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Love it.
Well, speaking of creative content and powerful contributions from the community, you are no stranger to any of that. Number one, you have, I would say you and Gold Matters kind of spearhead there's a couple of other guys that I would put up there, but you two in particular, I think stand out in my mind as kind of leading the charge on X, formerly known as Twitter, in terms of, you know, I see you guys posting on other content creators pages like, hey, have you checked out SPS? Hey, have you looked at Splinterlands? Hey, what is Splinterlands not doing on your tier list? Hey, why is Splinterlands ranked F tier? Take another look. We've changed. So you're not just Discord and Hive is really internal facing. We're preaching to the choir most of the time.
Yeah.
Whereas X primarily is such a great tool to attracting new folks, and you in particular, like I said, are kind of spearheading that charge of trying to get Splinterlands in front of new folks. Um, yeah, why don't we start there? And you know, what is it that propels you to do this? And you know, what kind of reception are you getting? Have you seen any direct response from newcomers as a result of this stuff? What's it like on your side?
Yeah. So you said a couple of things in there that I do want to like make sure is highlighted. One being that there's a number of people on X who are putting in the time and the work. I know Gold Matters and I like are like a little obsessed. But there are a number of people who are showing up and have been showing up consistently for a long time. So shout out to the Splinter fam on X. Um, and I also want to point out that I think Discord does a great job at what it does, like having like an internal kind of form of communication for your community. Um, and Hive does really well with what it does. So when I'm on X, I know the reasons why I'm using X. I'm using it to, amplify the conversations that are happening in our community to outside of our community. I also really like X because it gives, if you have a voice, if you have an opinion, right? And you put it out there to the world. If it's thought out, if it's well thought out, it will get amplified by other people, right? And it'll get seen by other people. And if your if your opinion is not well received, guess what? It just kind of like dies. In Discord, oftentimes your opinion or message will get buried very quickly. There's no way to amplify it, right? So like the people who are just posting the most are being seen the most. And that's why sometimes it's like, oh man, Discord, it's like it's always negative in there, right? Well, it's always negative in there because those are like the squeaky wheel people who are like trying to get seen, they're trying to get their message across it, or they're upset. And that seems to be like the case a lot on Discord. I will say, I think since we've moved out of like Mab Chat and like I know like Royal Eagle and some other people have been working hard to kind of clean it up a bit. It's been better, but there's still some salt from time to time. And of course, there's going to be salt on X as well. But the thing is that those messages don't get amplified like the messages from me or Gold Matters or Brave Tofu or Ank or Blaze. Like they don't get amplified. Like though they just literally the algorithm just shuts them down. So it's one of those things where like and it doesn't and I guess I'm more trying to say is you don't always have to be like drinking the Kool-Aid. You can be like critical. It's just the way you do it. And if you do it in a way that like people are gonna receive it, then they're gonna like it, they're gonna repost it, they're gonna comment on it. So that's been like that's one of the major reasons why I really enjoy being on there. I've also found that like the community that we're growing on X continues to get like larger. And I know having been in multiple crypto projects, since 2017, I understand the value of like what crypto degens like how they work. And they are on Twitter. They're there and they're not hanging out in Discord. I mean, they're potentially hanging out on Telegram, but I don't think our community uses Telegram very much. So it's been it's been quite a wild ride for the last few years, kind of growing and figuring out how to make X work for us. And I think that we are starting to really unlock that potential. And I think also having Blaze now in a marketing position who also understands X. You can see from the Splinterlands official account has been like incredibly active the last week and posting out kind of new kinds of content and stuff. So I think this is going to be a big piece of like what gets us back in front of people's faces, gets us back like, oh yeah, Splinterlands, I remember that. Oh yeah, or I tried it once or whatever, and then they kind of come back and check out and see what we've been up to. So, did I answer everything? I kind kind of just like went off on a tangent there.
Well, I'm
No,
sure
I think you
you
covered it.
you listen to the
That's good.
show, tangents are fully welcome and pursued
Yeah,
Encouraged.
yeah.
to the bitter end.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for you guys to like what you guys did with Breaking Benjamin, is that his name?
Joey,
Um
yeah.
Joey,
Joey,
yeah. Where he'd be like, did you guys hear about this yet? And you're like, yeah. Yeah, we heard about it. Keep talking. And I was like, oh my God. He's just dropping alpha like left and right. I was like, oh man, I hope this guy has a job on Monday.
Shout out to Joey. That was a very
Yeah,
fun
that
episode.
was that was an awesome episode, by the way. Like I really enjoyed it. I actually like started listening to it again today because I was like, I missed some stuff.
I know. I almost actually listened to it today as well. I was like, just like, on my bike ride home from work today. I was like, I'm gonna throw this on. I didn't, but I was like, I think I am gonna go listen to it this week too, because it's like, yeah, there's a lot going on in that. So, it was great. Yeah, shout out to Joey. He's great. Always love having him on.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, it's great that you're just trying to, make these inroads in Twitter. Like, I mean, for a while, was it kind of frustrating to you that, the team, like the official account, wasn't having an emphasis on X, and that you guys felt like you're kind of, doing the lift of the company for the company?
I never actually feel like I'm doing the lift for the company. I think I have bought into like what the DAO is and where this game is going for a long time. And I genuinely feel like it is our responsibility if we're going to be participants in this type of community that it's not going to just be on the company. So like I feel like that I'm trying to do my part in terms of like marketing and community building. And that's how I'm approaching it. So at times, yeah, I'm like we've got like I think it's like 60 to 70,000 followers on that account where like I would like was hoping that we could like we'd have some like big events happening and like there'd be like silence on that account. But I do also want to say like, I mean, whomever was running it, I also understand like there was a lot happening. There was cutbacks. I'm sure it was tricky and that was not a top priority. So like, I get that too. I'm just glad that Blaze is, has the keys now and is, understands understands how to use X. So, because I think it's gonna be really important.
Nice, yeah. So you said before that you were, involved in some other, crypto, or have you were involved in any other crypto games or in the past, or other projects, or?
Sort of, and nothing that you guys would ever heard of. It's all like minor stuff. Like when I was more involved, on like Tron, some of the subcommittees on Tron. Not, I was never too into like Tron itself, but I was a big community member in an organization like that was called Sesame Seed, and they were the ones that created the Seed Germinator program, which was one of the like basically the Kickstarter programs that Splinterlands used back in 2019. Um, so that's how I ended up finding Splinterlands. So, and then through that Seed Germinator program, there was like maybe like three or four other like games that like I kind of like threw some seed at and kind of got involved a little bit there. But I don't think any of the other games are still around. And luckily, Splinterlands was the one that I went a little bit bigger into, which I was very happy about because at the time I was like really digging what Aggie and Matt were building. So
Yeah, I was going to ask, so then why would you get more involved in Splinterlands than these other projects?
well, first of all, Splinterlands had an actual working game, so that helped. Um, and like so when I played it and when I was playing the game, I could like see like, hey, this is fun. Like I to me it was like a little bit of like nerdy kind of like a version of like chess, right? Like for fantasy lovers, right? Like to me it's like every single battle is different, just like every single chess game is different. It's like I was like this is awesome. I was like having like the rule sets and like the different card, like every card at some point like has a purpose. I mean, except for Rusty Android, sorry, but every card has a purpose, which is awesome.
Except for, or I'm surprised you didn't. I thought you were going to say except for Dallin. I really was really hoping you were going to say
Oh
Dallin
yeah,
there
you
being
know
one
what?
of the best in the
I should have thrown a Dallin. You know, dude, I had high hopes for him too. I thought that was like a really creative kind of like I was like, oh, this is gonna work. He's gonna be good. Nope.
I'm still hopeful that I can find a way to make Dallin the go-to for the Night Stalker. I think that works. I tried that once. We called it out a couple of episodes ago. I haven't tried it again. But for now, Dallin is sitting with the 100% win rate with Rebellion on the board.
Want to know?
1-0, baby. That's right.
Yeah. Who's counting?
Yeah. But circling back to the Twitter stuff, and I want to give credit to you
Yeah.
guys. I think Splinterlands social media campaigns, whether it was on Peak D or things like Twitter, the content creation prompts, it felt like for a long time we had suffered from a tremendous sense of complacency. Like we're just doing the same thing on repeat week after week, and it gets boring. So I want to give credit to you guys for really kind of mixing it up and coming up with creative ways to engage the community. And Blaze, I'm going to echo your shout out for our buddy Blaze. He's really taken and run with it, and I think he's pushing those different. I think he was the guy who put out that Lomicron challenge content idea maybe last week, and it was one of the
Yeah.
first ones that I'd seen in a long time that had as much engagement from the Splinterlands main account than I can remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to shake off the chains of complacency. It's a silent killer. It's a great way to bore the community to death. And on the Peak D side as well, I don't know if it's a product of seeing the interaction and engagement with something like the TPG challenge, but in the last month we have seen much different social media challenges come bubble to the surface on the Peak D side as well. So it's really good to see these different prompts, other ways to engage the community, give this amazing community a chance to flex its creative muscle and kind of run with it. So yeah, shout out to you guys for kind of spearheading that on X.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll make one last plug that I know there's a number of people who don't ever even want to touch X or Twitter for whatever reasons they have, but I'll make a plea that for our community, for your bags, just make an account and come check it out once in a while and see if you can you know, help the community out in that way, because this is really how one of the ways that we're going to be able to reach people. A Web3 game. I mean, those people aren't really hanging out in Facebook. They're not. They're not. You're not going to find new people on Discord. If we had some people on Reddit, I think that would work too. I've never been a big like Reddit user, but I think X is really a place where we can make some significant impact coming up on this next bull run.
Even as like a silent supporter, you don't have to
Yeah.
create content. You
Yes.
you just toss a like, and that's going to spur the algorithm.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And you're going to get a different view of some of the conversations that happen on Discord. The conversations on Discord and the conversation on X are like just they're about the same topic, but there's a lot of different opinions that you're not going to catch because you can't read everything on Discord, right? It's like it's just very difficult. Unless you go back like 500 messages sometimes. But yeah, it's silent supporter. I like that.
yeah. Plus, where else are you going to tag guys like Elon and Post Malone?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and
Which is
we,
fun.
we we don't have any chance of getting those guys into the Discord yet. I
No,
think Twitter serves as the best avenue to
for
reaching
sure.
out to
For
those
sure.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see if Post Malone will buy Gold Matters Mighty Dricken gold foil card.
Come on, Posty.
Come on, Post.
Cool. Well, let's segue into your, we kind of introduce this as, your contributions creatively on X. Let's shift gears into your Peak D contributions, your land giant idea. It was a novel idea. I think we had all kind of talked about, how can we encourage and support Chaos Legion? We shouldn't just let it die and move to wild and become a $200 max set kind of set, which I don't know if that would ever happen just purely because of the burn mechanic. But how do we provide some utility for Chaos Legion to move into wilds gracefully and save some face there? And I think your land giant idea is a great kind of first step in providing that avenue towards ongoing utility. So why don't you give us, for anybody who's uninitiated, why don't you give us kind of the rundown of what you're thinking there, and then we can kind of dive into some details.
Sure. So the land giant idea is I mean, I don't want people to get caught up on the details necessarily, because the land giant idea could be a number of different things. It's really about like a card sink, like burning Chaos Legion cards mostly. I mean, that would be what most people would probably would burn. But the basic premise of the land giant idea is that we would create 5 to 6 kind of like special promo cards that would be land giants, and they would basically suck in battle, but they'd be amazing when you put them on land. And what they would do is they would give you like a bonus to your land plots. Outside of like having a Rooney or a land totem or a title, you could place these on your land, and get that bonus. And what you do is you basically like, when I was running the numbers on like the average price for like a Chaos Legion, like common card and rare card, epic and legendary, it's like you'd have to burn like a certain amount of these cards to like mint one of these. And I kind of had this idea of like doing like every level, basically you would get like 1% more as a bonus, like up to 10%. Now, again, I don't want to get caught up on like the numbers and the math of it all, because that all can be tweaked. The basic premise really is just burning Chaos Legion cards and some DEC, and minting a new card that has a different utility to give bonuses to the people who want these cards on land. And it would be somebody like, and if we did it like relatively sooner, rather than later, then we would ultimately be able to like move like some of the like excess inventory of Chaos Legion into this new idea. And hopefully before Chaos moves to Wild, we'd be able to get some of that the inflation down, so that I am worried about Chaos Legion like ultimately moving to Wild and like really never getting a footing again, right? And I think it would be great of the team and the community to give at least one push to make things right with Chaos Legion. And I say that as somebody who was a big investor of Chaos Legion, but I am no longer a big investor of Chaos Legion. So I'm not, this is not for my own bag. I genuinely believe that Chaos Legion prices, due to the amount of cards that are out there, and I know obviously we all know it's affecting Modern, and that's going to change when the next core set comes out. I still think though that the price of Chaos Legion is bringing down the price of all assets in the game. And I think if we could find a way to burn a significant amount of these cards, we'd be able to balance that much better. Because even when Chaos moves to Wild, if new players come in and they realize I can buy Chaos Legion, I can play in Modern, and I got to put in thousands of dollars to play in Modern, roughly, right? Or I can put in a couple $100 and play in Wild and still do pretty well. It's going to be a tough sell, I think, you know? So again, it's not just about the land giants. It's about finding a way to burn these cards. And I will say I got a tremendous amount of great feedback, especially from Cryptomancer, who like I took his comment as like really liking the idea, and he had some kind of like different ideas of like trying to kind of massage it a little bit, but obviously with the stipulation that like he's like, there's no timeline on us ever being able to do this, but it's a cool idea. But I appreciated that he took the time to kind of like respond to that and give me some feedback on it, which was cool. Um, but I just really, really genuinely feel like that we're doing ourselves a disservice by ignoring Chaos Legion. Um, with that said, and I'm not sure if this is the right time to kind of move on to this, but I think Matt's idea around hardcore mode might be a potential solution. I don't know. I don't think burning cards is involved in his hardcore mode, but I think that because or not heard. Well, actually, I know I heard Matt, and then I saw like Blaze write something on Twitter about how you're going to need multiple copies of like old cards, or just multiple copies of cards. But like Matt insinuated that it was going to be like really good for old cards. So, and I would assume that Chaos would kind of fall into this category. So hardcore mode might be their kind of like, hey, we need to do something for these older cards, and but we have no details on that. So like, I really don't know.
Yeah, let's pause the speculation on the hardcore mode and kind of
All
focus
right,
on the land giant stuff for now. But I,
all right,
I'm
all right.
I'm with you. I think the general premise of both of these ideas, at least in concept, as far as I understood, is providing growing value for ideally Chaos Legion is a huge benefiter of both of these ideas. As far as the land giant stuff, I feel like there's so many guys who have a ton of land, like Cryptomancer. We talked to him about it. He's got 30% of his land set up. So
Yeah,
that leaves 2,000 plots plus still in need of cards. Guys like Matt Clark. I'm sure that his numbers are probably not too dissimilar. And I know
yeah,
Matt Clark was a big Chaos Legion guy. He's still sitting on buku packs, just kind of waiting to see what the market does.
yeah.
Whether it comes in the next couple of months or it comes after Conclave Arcana, there's kind of a lot to unpack with what Conclave Arcana actually means for the game, for the community, for the market. Uh, and I don't know if we want to go into each kind of individual mechanic that will be influenced by what that move implies.
Hmm.
But whether the land giant stuff takes place before that or after that, I don't know if it really makes that much of a difference, in that Chaos Legion will already be in wild. So
Yeah,
I feel like that is the biggest thing that's going to be affected by Conclave Arcana. Um, and if and when we do get this land giant idea, I think the market's going to respond in a big way, and we're not going to see 30-cent Chaos Legion packs anymore
no,
by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know if it will ever get back to $2-3. I guess there is going to be a certain balance that will need to be struck on how much of these packs are getting soaked up by the big land guys. I've only got 7 plots. I would 100% be trying to scoop up 30-cent packs to burn for the necessary land giants. So even on the
yeah,
smaller scale, I think it's meaningful, it's impactful, and it's enticing. Um, Yeah. So I know that you kind of wrapped up your discussions with, guys like Cryptomancer. You were taking a ton of notes, a ton of feedback from,
yep,
whether it was on Peak D comments or in Discord
hmm,
conversations, or I'm sure you got a bunch of feedback on Twitter as well.
yep,
And I think I saw you kind of round everything out with, I will publish an update part two, at some
yeah.
point in the future. Where are the most significant changes, and how close are you to kind of have you already started putting pen to paper on this updated idea, or are you still kind of working through what does that look like?
Well, I mean, it's been, I think, like, I don't know, maybe a month and a half since I published it. Um, and I've also hit kind of a busy part of my life. And I was also like trying to do those TPG challenges, man. That like Yaba Mat like card that took me way longer than I care to admit, but it was awesome. I have put some ideas down. I've gathered all of the comments into like one spot from Discord, from Twitter, from the Peak D article, and just like any of the other kind of conversations that I had with people, and made some notes. What I did love is that, between Vuctus, Brave Tofu, and Crypto Eater, all three of them said sounds really interesting. And they both kind of like, I mean, all three of them made comments about like, I'd have to look more closely at the math and, see if it works. But like all three of them, who, if you don't know, are currently our biggest SBS stakeholders, who hold the most influence when it comes to like
That's only 100 million SPS between the three of them right there.
yeah, right, right.
You picked a good group of three.
Yeah, well, I mean, on purpose. So again, I'm not saying on the show right now that like they said like yes, like, but they said they didn't say no, which I thought was really good. And so I was really happy about that. So it I'm having a hard time moving towards update two because I'm trying to find the value in it. I'm trying to like find, how do I take all of these like comments from people and put it in a way where it's going to be helpful to the community or helpful to the team. Um, and I may just like comment like, you know what, I'm just gonna like make an update too and just see like what happens. Because it's possible that at this point I'm just like overthinking it, and perfection is the enemy of doing great things, right? Like, so I might just move forward and just start kind of like banging it out here in the next like week or two. Um, it's just like I think the semantics of it all and like how the math is going to work, because there's like data that I'm not like, I don't fully know and I can't find, that is kind of like bogging me down, I think. I don't know exactly like how many people are gonna like want these on their plots. And like I can't give great examples. I can only just like give estimates of like what I think could happen, right?
If you sort of look at like the outstanding Chaos Legion packs or cards, or did
Yeah.
you look at
Yeah.
like taking potentially all the Chaos Legion if they're all opened up, or how many of these land giants could possibly
Yeah.
potentially be minted?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, I did. I did do that. And I mean, some of the feedback I got was like, I originally in my original article said I don't want to include rewards cards because those were just like, printed
Mm.
to oblivion with the bots. I want to genuinely focus on the people who like bought packs and bought cards in Chaos Legion. Um, then I got some feedback from, a couple of the bigger whales, like basically saying like, you really got to take care of the rewards cards too. So it's not going to matter. It won't be as impactful if we don't actually include the rewards cards. So looking at that and that just made like the whole thing like a whole other level that I haven't quite um reached yet, because I had already published the article at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're looking at just raw numbers, so assuming that we've got the demand and immediate utility for Chaos Legion
Hmm.
with the similar respect to what numbers we're seeing on Rebellion, we're
Yeah.
right around 900,000 packs. Chaos Legion is sitting at almost 2 million circulating and almost 10.5 million open. So
Right.
there's a huge gap. And then, on top of that, to your point that you just made, there's also the reward cards, which were printed to absolute oblivion. Uh, and we've already seen, I think Aftersound just published a video not too long ago, maybe within the last week, kind of mathing out what is the outstanding reward card pool mean for potential DEC. And
Yeah.
it's massive. And this land giant idea addressing both reward cards from Chaos Legion plus Chaos Legion packs and cards that have been opened solves to some extent both of those angles, right? It helps
Mhm.
Chaos Legion it gives utility for Chaos Legion, and it prevents all of this DEC from flooding the markets again.
Yeah, you're
So
kind of like locking that in, right? Like once you burn those cards, you're locking in that you can't burn these you can't burn those rewards cards anymore for DEC.
right, yeah. So I think you bring up the hardcore mode as another piece, and I feel like none of these ideas are going to be the silver bullet. It's going to be several of these ideas in conjunction with one another. So I would really like to see this put forward. I know you had kind of come out and said pretty confidently that you didn't have any intentions of making this into a proposal. Have
Yeah.
you kind of adjusted your tune on that? Like once you get, I'm sure if you get guys like Vuctus and Tofu and Crypto Eater on board, and the math checks out and this looks like a very viable piece to the solution of solving the massive oversupply that is Chaos Legion era cards, would you reconsider that statement and therefore potentially publish a proper DAO proposal?
Yeah. I think I would reconsider it. I think if that is something that the team would be interested in seeing, like how SBS stakeholders felt about it. I think now that we also have like Cryptomancer like fully pushing land right now, um, if we had something come out for like whatever this burn event could be for Land Giants came out like in 4, 5, 6 months when he potentially could have like 1.75 rolling out, I think you get a tremendous amount of interest too. Um, there could be a lot, but I also know that they've got a ton on their plate right now. So like, and I also want to like say too is that like I have a hard time with SPS proposals in terms of like what the DAO should be putting as proposals and what they shouldn't be. Um, is this like too game mechanic-y, or does this directly affect SPS? It really has to do with Chaos Legion. I think it's hard. It's hard to like make the case that like this should be like a proposal. With that said, I also understand that Matt on a number of occasions has said like, hey, put that forward as a proposal and just see what the community thinks. Like he's not guaranteeing that they're gonna like implement it into the game, but it'd be good to get like community feedback on like where we fall on this. So yes, I guess I saying that I would consider it. I guess I wasn't fully prepared as to like how many people and how much feedback I was going to get on that original article. I just thought like hey, I have this idea, I want to put it out there. I'm not putting this into a proposal. I don't want people to be confused. I'm just like kind of like throwing out an idea into the community that I thought was cool. So, I mean, yeah, well, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I would initially have said, this is probably a team and more of a game mechanic thing and wouldn't really fit into a DAO proposal. But hey, if you make word the proposal that ties it into us paying for Cryptomancer's salary, he's got to, not only produce land, but also produce land giants, then I guess it's all fair game at that point, right?
That's fair.
Well, also when we're being asked to, if we want to adjust snare, put a proposal out, it fits within that scope of things also, which
It
I
certainly fits within that scope for sure.
I completely agree with you. I wish we had an alternative for it. We've said this ad nauseum. There
Yeah.
should be a differentiator between gauging community sentiment, a strongly worded suggestion, and a DAO proposal. DAO proposal should be confined to SPS and
Yeah.
SPS distribution and that sort of stuff. The rest, everything else,
Yeah.
I don't know if it should go to an SPS stake weighted vote. Maybe a poll is a good kind of
Yeah.
middle ground.
I don't mind the SPS stake weighted vote part of it because like it would be I think sometimes it is interesting to, like feedback for the team and for the community to kind of see like where the SBS voting would fall. I just think it just could like be clearly like labeled on the website like before you vote that this is like an official DAO proposal. And this is I don't know, a community ask or something. I don't know, suggestion. So I don't know what the right terminology is, but anyway, so yeah, I would consider it though. I would. We'll see.
Well, look forward to seeing part two. It sounds
Yeah.
like, based on some of the feedback that I saw and from what you just kind of touched on, you've got plenty of fresh ideas and kind of fine tunings and polish that you can take into account with, rounding out and serving up what is a more complete version of the land giant idea look like. And
Hmm.
being a math professor, I think you can provide some pretty sound evidence into what is the potential impact and implication of something like a land giant. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if we can paint a compelling picture via the numbers,
Hmm.
I don't know if there's any way to argue that it's a solid way forward.
Yeah, I think it has the potential to be an easy sell, like for sure, because you're just basically like transferring the small amount of value in these cards into something that you think has higher potential in the future, right? And I think a lot of people would take that risk, and when people do, if they do take that risk, like minting these land giants, you're going to see like the balance of the value, which is going to help out everything else, I believe. Also, another thing I wanted to add into that I forgot that Cryptomancer wrote in his comment, which I thought was really cool, was that like having the land giants have like a land ability. He thought was really interesting because that means you could make other land giants in the future under different like sets, right? Like, and then the team could just make them, and they could have maybe a different value on land, right? Type of thing. Just kind of a cool, I think, kind of a cool thing to like integrate the cards more with the land, and stuff like that, and the battling and things. So
Well, it
Yeah,
also
and this is
shows a
also
certain sense of thoughtfulness from Cryptomancer. He
yeah,
he took your idea and ran with it. So
yeah. Sorry, Hep, what were you gonna say?
no, I was gonna say that this kind of mechanic too is something that people have brought up on a number of different for a number of different use cases as
Hmm.
to be able to burn, certain
Yeah,
cards to then mint other cards, right? So to the extent that this is, different from what the team's done and it would be, extra work, or I don't know how much work it would be, but it seems like it's something that they could code in a way that they could then reuse it for future events that the DAO or the team wanted to do, where you wanted to burn cards to try to get some other kind of card. So it wouldn't have a use case just for this one time or for land. They could do it with a lot of different stuff.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that the potential in that is like unlimited. Like, like you even like, I mean, not that like we would necessarily do this, but you could like even introduce like a new like platinum foil. Like you'd have to burn like a stupid amount of gold foils of a certain card to get like a platinum one. That's the only way to get it, right? Like you can't even like get them out of packs, or like there's just like all kinds of things you could do, and whales would love that stuff.
this serves as a really solid, and I want to circle back to hardcore mode, but since you bring up, different foils and variants and, very scarce exclusive items,
Hmm.
let's talk marketing. Um, I'm super excited. I've had a number of interactions with Blaze over, my tenure here in Splinterlands, and I was stoked to see that Blaze was the guy who got the nod for the marketing position. Shout out to you, Blaze. Congratulations again. We will speak to you on the 11th. We've got an episode officially locked up for Blaze coming on. Super excited to kind of hear him, talk through all things marketing on from an official standpoint. Uh, but in the meantime, I feel like, and I was super encouraged. I think we shouted it out last week. Stever and Bebe hosted Yaba, and Yaba came out and kind of addressed the variant exclusive idea of, perhaps opening a one of one hardy stonefish in a pack that is maxed. It's a very exclusive foil. And having one of those for each card, in addition to not just regular foil, gold foil, but also additional variants. Do you feel
Yeah.
like, from a marketing perspective, we have a fantastic game. The game is in a really good place, and we continue to kind of iterate upon that, whether that's, we just saw a good influx of new rule sets, new abilities is kind of a given. Keeping the game fresh. From a collectability standpoint, do you feel like we're doing everything that we should at the moment to have a very marketable game to that kind of player? And do you feel like the variance is kind of a necessary next step to achieving that?
Yes, I think that is a logical next step, and I think like people who love to collect things that are rare. I mean, that's just like the nature of it, and that's like what TCGs are, right? I think the idea behind Glamour is kind of supposed to be like that. I think we'll have to kind of see how it rolls out. Like if you have a special kind of like, skin on one of your cards or a special glow, um, that that could be like that. But I think there's also there's something just like really special about like opening up a pack and like getting that like unbelievably rare kind of like special foil card that like physical card sets do all the time, right? So yeah, I'm a big believer in it. I think the one thing that we need in a Web3 game like this though, because we have these online communities and you can't just like go and like you're not really like hanging out with your friends and showing them like your special rare, you know special edition foil like Pokemon card like physically, in person, is that like we need like a way to like I need to be able to easily like get to like your like pages, right? Like your in-game like kind of like showroom, right? Like where you have like your titles and you have like your I don't know, like your best you can show off your best like six cards or something like that and throw a couple lands on there and like all of the things that the accomplishments that you've done in the game, right? And I can like maybe like leave you a little message on your board or something because like we just like went into battle, type of thing. I don't know. Like we just like need a way to show off these cards better. But dude, yeah, collectors love collecting stuff. And so the more exclusive and rare you can make these cards, it's like a no-brainer, right? So I do hope that we move to at some point having variants, right? Especially being like really in low supply. Because I know we have a number of like major whales in this game who are absolutely going to want those cards, right? And guess what? I know I'm not getting one. You're not getting one. Most people are not going to get one. But like when the whales put down the money to get one of these cards, it helps everybody else in the community out.
Well, it's such a, we had, shout out to our buddy Vet. He has really kind of leaned into the idea of we've moved so far away from having those marketable moments. And as soon as you introduce those uber exclusive one of one max foil cards, that
Yeah.
is a marketable moment. I would love to see, to kind of extend upon your point of, if I could provide a link to my showroom and I
Yeah.
could display like my greatest achievements. I beat Ultims 3 in a row. I've got,
Yeah.
a one of one Hardy Stonefish, and, kind of display my titles and my land, all that sort of stuff. Uh, if we could have, I think Peak D has done something like this where you can link your Twitter account and
Mm.
just share links directly. I would love to see that with Splinterlands. Like you just I link my Twitter account to my in-game stuff. I
Hmm.
click this button, it shares the battle, or it shares this card that I just pulled. It shows the market value. I feel like there's a ton of different opportunities to just create a much easier to access view into the collectability standpoint. So yeah, that's a fantastic call out. I know Blaze is a big sports card guy, and I think
Hmm.
he's probably thinking in the realm of what we're talking about. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. We haven't talked, at any sort of notable length on any of this stuff, but knowing what I have seen on his X account from, however long we've interacted on Twitter, I know he's a big sports cards guy, and this
Yep.
is this is par for the course with respect to sports memorabilia. So yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I love the concept, and I feel like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that I mean, just like imagine like somebody like just like an you know average person, or like somebody in the Philippines or like wherever, like opens up one of these cards and then they sell it on the market for 10, 15, $20,000. Like that's like game changing, right? It's like what a great moment that would be, for anybody like to pull one of these cards, right? Um yeah, I think it would be great to have that at some point. And I hope Glamour starts moving us in that direction. I hope the team sees like maybe like Glamour is going to show that like, oh, people really want this uniqueness, right? Like going into battle with your special like Gopson guy, right? Like, whatever the case may be. So I hope that they see that there's like a need for that.
Yeah, I mean, you used to be able to do that when you get like a gold foil legendary or something, and it was maybe only $50 or whatever, but still, it was still big. It was still really exciting, and if you pull that even on the rewards cards and stuff, that was always big, kind of marketable
Yep.
moments. But yeah, kind of lost that with the soulbound stuff. So yeah, it would be nice to have something fun like that again.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of like some other marketing too, like and I'm not trying to like I don't want to like throw any shade, but I just like want to be real. Is that I just like don't think that the Imagine Dragons and that stuff that we did in the past is like the route that Blaze is even considering in any way, right? And I don't even think I mean, it's possible that they like are gonna try like more traditional ads. I just don't even think I mean, that's like plug and play in some ways, right? Like A/B testing. I think what we're and I can't wait to hear him kind of speak on this, but like I think what we need like grassroots pushing marketing guerrilla campaign stuff, like going into the trenches and like really getting creative with like driving interest. And whether that's like really spending time on finding the right influencers to come and like try the game out, and like or putting on these like competitions and like getting the word out, or like whether it's we're gonna like do some special like tournaments, right, to like it's not going to just be like throwing ads up on Google and praying that we find the right people, right? Like it's got to be more creative than that for Web3.
I can't believe you're throwing Waka and Imagine Dragons under the bus, DJ.
I didn't
Unbelievable.
say Waka, you said Waka.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I would be shocked if that was if Blaze was thinking in that capacity at all.
Yeah.
Maybe there's Web3 guys that it makes more sense for that type of celebrity for a Web3 community. I don't know who they are, or even where to begin to try and find stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what Blaze is cooking up in the kitchen. I think he's probably got some pretty good
Yeah.
ideas that he's batting around the old Slack conversation with the team. And the reality is he's been hired for what, 2 weeks, and no pressure, Blaze. Like people are talking about you already, man.
Yeah, no pressure, Blaze, but when spawn, right?
Exactly. What about let's zoom out and look at the product. Do you
Okay.
feel like, we were talking about this a little bit with Joey last week. Now we've got, good Lord, 150 abilities and tactics, and before you ever enter into the tokenomics game of
Mhm.
Splinterlands, there's a million things to wrap your head around. Do you feel like the product itself is at a place where we can market it successfully to, because the reality is the Web3 space is really, really niche.
Hmm.
the crypto community is really, really small. It's you know, global numbers, it's still less than 10% of the population. However, the gaming community, in particular the mobile gaming community, is billions. Billions of people are playing these games. Um, so I wonder what your take is, DJ, on Splinterlands as a game and its ability to be taken up by the more traditional mobile gamer. Do we need
Mobile gamer, yeah.
Yeah, do we need to change things? Do we need to simplify things? Do we need to just offer the bare bones of, something like you look back, I think we called it out last week. You look at Alpha. Alpha was a
Mhm.
really good entrance point for a lot of folks because it was simple, it was straightforward. There were, maybe
Sure.
15, 20 abilities at
Mhm.
max level, and you know a very limited pool of rule sets, and it was easy to grasp the game, but it was fun, it was engaging. Every battle can still be different to a certain degree. So I'm wondering, where on that gauge do you kind of find the current state of Splinterlands, and should we be looking to position ourselves for
Mhm.
marketing a different version of Splinterlands?
Sure. I have like a number of thoughts on this, actually, and on both sides. Um, One being, I think I've actually heard After Sound say this recently, is that um, if there's money to be made, people will figure the game out. We all did. We dove in and we figured it out. Uh, Two, just a few weeks ago, I was definitely on the side of like, we need to be careful with how many abilities we have, tactics. It's complicated. And I liked that I heard, I believe it was maybe Royal Eagle that posted that they're and obviously I think Joey said this too, potentially about like um retiring abilities, as the sets move out, right? Like, and I think he brought up like Force Field, right, with Chaos Legion, potentially like retiring that at some point when Chaos Legion moves to Wild, and no other new cards would have those abilities, which I think is great because you definitely want sets to have like their own uniqueness. And if you play in Wild, I think that's kind of like just part of the deal, right? Like, there's just going to be a ton of different abilities and um, in different cards, obviously. But for Modern, um, it would be nice that like if people are starting out, if the game could, and it does because we have the levels, right? Like, but like if the game could be easier to learn as you go, which is what I'm hoping the new player experience is going to do. Is going to be able to kind of walk people through how to play this game. Then I heard Matt Clark on Splinterlands 101. I think it was last week. It could have been the week prior. He made a comment about how this game, because of the mana cap changes and because of all of the rule sets, um, that every card in the game is like important. And every time you get a new card, that's exciting because you don't know when you're going to need that card. And that's like a big differentiator for Splinterlands is the fact that that having all these different abilities and the mana cap and the rule sets, it really makes every card like make your collection like deeper, and it makes you a better player. Um, I had a thought here I was going to try to finish up with, but um, yeah, so I do think it is difficult to play this game with the amount of abilities that we have. And I think that I'm hoping at some point that it is easier during the battle to know what these damn abilities do. Because being someone who's been in this game for 2019 since 2019, I do have to hover over the abilities. And some of the abilities have like really great descriptions as to what the hell I'm getting myself into again. And some of the abilities just literally rename the ability in the description. Um, and I think for new players and for veteran players too, it would be great to like have like better filters and better descriptions of what the abilities do. I think that will be really helpful in terms of like with the amount of abilities that we have right now. Honestly, man, I go back and forth because there is something like really cool about seeing like finding that special ability like in a rule set that you're like, oh, I got this figured out, right? I'm gonna try this like different like because there's so many different combinations because of the amount of abilities too, which makes it really interesting. I don't know. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think the game is probably overwhelming, especially because we've moved to a place where leagues don't exist. I think
Hmm.
it'll be a different story once Chaos Legion is gone and you're not
Hmm.
immediately facing an onslaught of max cards with all the abilities under the sun.
Yep.
Um, in theory, that's what's going to happen with Conclave Arcana is if you have a bronze style deck, a deck built for bronze, then more than likely that deck is going to be competing in that bronze rating window.
Hmm.
But even still, and Rebellion has really seen kind of an issuance of a new era where a lot of these cards get very key abilities at early levels. So I feel like it's too much. I would prefer to see that new player experience isolated from
Hmm.
the Splinterlands game. You're just focused on the gameplay. You're just focused on the fun aspect. And if and when you feel ready to dive into the deep end, it's there and waiting for you. And that's going to speak to a certain percentage of the folks who, if you want to put pedal to the metal right away, by all means go ahead. But there
Hmm.
should be, in my mind, a protected, kind of sandbox environment for the new players. I think in general, I feel like Splinterlands, I think back to when I started. Uh,
Yeah.
it's incredibly complex. It took me months to understand. There's still stuff that I'm learning every day,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I've been here for almost 3 years. And Hep, I know you're right there with me. With there's still stuff like, oh, I didn't realize it worked that way. I still don't know if reach monsters act as bloody reach monsters during super sneak rule
Super
sets.
sneak or not. I
Yeah.
think they changed that, so they do. But yeah, I always kind of have to be like,
Well, the,
which
the the fact that you say I think like we should we
one?
should we should know.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're making me question it now.
Yeah,
I think
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
And opportunity too.
yeah,
So I feel like yes, I think the game is incredibly complex and it's going to speak to
yeah.
a small percentage of folks. Ideally, I would like that new player experience to be in a protected environment where you're not coming up against seasoned veterans. You're not coming up against 150 abilities. You're slowly wading in from the kiddie pool into the deep end.
Yeah,
And it's only available if and when you're ready. You don't ever have to go into the deep end if you don't want to.
yeah. And I'll just say add in too, like I think, they should be playing, you know, either bots or just like a game mode that's you're just playing against the computer and it should be easy. I mean, people like if you look at like a lot of these games, if you look at like Candy Crush, like how come anytime you're on, at least for me, like in, on public transit anywhere in DC or if I'm up in New York or on the Amtrak or something, there's always, no matter what train car I'm on, like especially in New York, I find it happens more
Mm.
often for whatever reason. But like, there's always somebody playing fucking Candy Crush. Like always, like without a doubt, there's gonna be like at least one person playing Candy Crush, and it's just like it's an easy game that's kind of like a puzzle game, but it's just like easy to win. And there's a billion levels that never end, and people like it because people just like to win even if it's like stupid and pointless and whatever. But like I don't know, I just feel like that's a thing too, is like this whole thing about, you know, everybody's got to get to a 50% winning percentage and this and that. And I don't know, I just feel like for that new player experience, like yeah, it should be kind of easy then to get people used to just playing the game and trying different stuff out. So
Well, to
Yeah,
to
and
take it a step further, the people that you see playing Candy Crush, it's not just nerds in their mid-30s
No,
and
it's like
early
this
40s.
like 60-year-old woman or something on the
Yes,
trainer, man. It's like old
it
people and stuff.
the
Yeah.
the range is from your 5-year-old kid to your 90-year-old grandmother, and everybody. You don't need a very thorough tutorial to walk you through how this stuff means. It's
Mhm.
very intuitive. It's a very easy to pick up and run with game. Uh, yeah, I feel like Splinterlands needs that style game where your 5-year-old daughter could pick this up
Mm.
and compete and play and understand what she's trying to accomplish here.
Yeah.
I'll push back a little bit and say that I think sometimes though the complexity is what has kept a lot of us around for a long time too, because it's never become boring to me. And like there's a number of games that I would play for like, 6 months, a year, 2 years, and then I'm just like, all right, I feel like I've mastered it, right? Like in some ways. Like whereas like Splinterlands always seems new to me. With that said, I totally get like new player experience. Like, man, what a pain in the ass. I'm lucky I came in with some like understanding of how like crypto wallets work. Like I was like, it was like I knew how to like figure out how to get an account and how to like get on like Hive Engine and Tribal Decks. Like I could figure those things out. But the game itself, it took me many months of figuring it out. And the only reason I spent that time was because I was in, I'm a collector. I love collecting things, and I found the game interesting, even though it was difficult. So I did put in the time to like get there. However, it would make a lot more sense if there was like a lower barrier to entry for people to like get to the point that we've gotten to, where we love this game, right? We don't want to make it difficult. So I hear that, but I don't exactly think that like we're like Candy Crush. Like we don't need the 60-year-old women playing this game if unless they want to, right? So like I think the complexity part of it is what makes it special. But the new players entering shouldn't have like you said, Jangles, like people shouldn't have to like jump into that deep water right away, right? Not like how we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the steep learning curve that currently exists is
Yeah,
not a point of attraction. I
yeah,
think,
yeah,
you know, you say it's kept us here and it's kept us engaged, but that's because we understand all of the other stuff at this point. We're
fair.
operating with a huge resource of years of knowledge and experience in operating in Splinterlands. Whereas the
Hmm.
new player, they're coming in with a blank slate. Um, yeah. So I think, I agree with you that deep end should always be available.
Hmm.
But I think for the average gamer, the average guy who's pulling out, and maybe Candy Crush is too simple of an analogy, but for the average mobile game, Clash Royale, I think is a fair
Yeah,
analogy.
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
Um, for the average Clash Royale player to be interested in Splinterlands, it should be easily understood, and I should be
yeah,
able to compete right away with peers.
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I think also like in your Clash Royale example, like they do a really good job of like if you're just starting out, like they have like the little tutorial stuff, but if you drop like someone who looks like a warrior, a character who looks like a warrior, that guy is going to like go and like fight in the front lines. If you drop someone who looks like a mage, they're gonna be doing mage shit in the back, right? Like or like an archer, right? Like you kind of can figure out their the gameplay quickly. Whereas I think sometimes our cards don't always match up with what they do, right? But it does make it fun too. And we just have so many different like ways to play the game, which always keeps it interesting. Creative team, I love you guys. I just, it just always makes it interesting and fun.
Yeah, I mean, I really like we talked for a while that how we haven't had new rule sets for a bit, and yeah, I kind of like these new rule sets that they've come out with. I feel like it's kind of a
Mhm.
good fresh take. It's not just like an ability put into a rule set, even though there is some of that. I did get a blast rule set and a reflection shield. There's like a blast reflection shield, and something else as like two of the
Yeah,
rules.
yeah,
So I was like, that doesn't really help much, but
So I've only got
yeah.
one rule set.
Yeah. So
yeah,
but no, I like kind of this some of the other ones where you have to have, certain speed or certain health or certain level attack to be able to play. Just kind of it's nice to have the deck kind of narrowed down for you sometimes to kind of get a new spin on it, a little more creative and yeah, it's nice to kind of have less cards to play with it sometimes, I feel like.
yeah, yeah. When I did I think the Ghost Challenge or something like that, and I had like every card in the game, I was like, I don't even know how to play this game anymore. Um, so like I actually I don't know how many people play this. I actually be interested to play this way. I'd be interested in you guys' take now that I just thought of this. When you guys get into a battle and you see the mana cap and you see the rule set, do you guys think like, oh, a certain like do you go like to a certain splinter first based off of those things? Or do you think like summoner first? Like that's my first question to you guys.
Hmm. That's a good one. I think, oh man, it's tough. I think I'm typically, yeah, kind of looking at, it depends. I mean, if it's high, yeah, I'm, if it's like a high mana thing,
Hmm.
it depends on what's available. It really
Okay, yeah,
does.
yeah.
Because I'm
There's
kind
so
of like,
many variables, right?
it's a balance of like, all right, what's my mana cap? And like, if I have every splinter available and it's like,
Hmm.
I'm playing in wild and I have, life, I'm just gonna do like Lorna and, a lot of like sneak monsters and stuff like that. If I have super high, I'm probably going dragon and rolling out rage and some other
Right,
stuff or Lorcus and putting together like a gnarly, magic team with like especially in like wild with um all those like big giant guys that you have. Now, what gives you have the um God, what is it? Not the Cthulhu. Is it Cthulhu? Not the Cthulhu. I'm mixing them up with a water card. Is it the Cthulhu?
oh yeah, he isn't that a water card?
No, I'm saying I'm thinking the Cthulhu Mastermind is the water
Oh,
card.
oh, oh.
Let me reset my filters here. Death. These guys got like stun, weaken. Um, yeah, the Cthulhu. Yeah, just the Cthulhu. Yeah,
Yeah.
so like the Cthulhu, Usut, and Barakashakor. I love rolling that like if you have a ton of mana, just like rolling that
Yeah.
team out and just like throwing magic haymakers at people and yeah, so yeah, it depends. I mean, sometimes I'll just be like, I want to do something kind of fun, and just
Yeah.
try something new, something weird. So yeah.
Yeah, I
How
mean,
about
I
you?
think there's certain rule sets that make me reach for certain splinters more than others. Like
Hmm.
ranged only is going to be probably death number one.
Hmm.
Uh, with Queen of Crows and the um Weirding Warrior is great,
Hmm.
and there's a couple of plays that are kind of the go-to within that rule set, and I think as you climb the leaderboard, you see more and more of those kind of I guess cookie cutter team lineups for particular rule sets, but um yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess to Heb's point, I think it depends on how am I feeling today. Do I want to venture into meta discovery and
Yeah.
try and craft something cool? Or do I want to go for the sure thing and kind of go a little bit more vanilla with something that I know that is effective? Um, yeah, it depends.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. I've been trying to like look at the mana cap and the rule sets, and I've been trying to like basically instead of like thinking like card focused, I've been like trying to like think ability focused. So I've been using like the search features a lot more and like trying to like quickly rip through as many abilities that I think would be good in this rule set. And then I start putting together my team from there, like once I like see what cards I have and have what abilities. which has been a different approach to like where I used to like just really think about like, oh, what cards do I want for this rule set? And then I just stick to like the things that I know that I'm used to. It's been a lot of fun to play with like just being ability focused. It's been kind of cool.
Yeah, I wonder if Nate and Co are kind of considering a completely alternative approach to team build outs. Because
Mm,
the way it currently stands, you're confined to seeing cards that are available based on your summoner selection.
hmm.
Whereas if you can kind of reverse engineer it, and I see a poison match, for example, I can
Yes.
click immunity, and all of a sudden I see my monsters across all elements that have immunity.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
you can kind of, plug in the pieces from there.
I would love
Um,
that. I'd love to be able to pick my summoner last or whatever, or like just
yeah.
like start putting in cards. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Either or. I think there
yeah,
are
yeah,
certain rule sets where the summoner is going to make the difference, but oftentimes, the opposite could also be true, where,
yeah.
it's what is your carry card? It's immunity, it's poison match, melee only. I know I want to build around Forgotten One. I should be able
Right.
to pick Forgotten One and then see, hey, I could go dragon, hey, I could go squirrel, or I could go,
Like, yeah,
Tarsa or
like
something like that. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
even
I
where they
agree.
had it where your summoners were kind of off to the side or something, and then if you started selecting cards, it would narrow down.
Mm,
Like if you clicked a card, it'd be like, okay, well, you chose this card. Now you have these four summoners you can choose
that's a
from at
great
this
idea.
point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I also loved I think you guys talked about this last week too about like that you could get like hints or something like that like depending on the rule set like it would like glow certain cards. Um I think that's a cool idea too. Like just being able to kind of like oh and oh yeah, I forgot about this card or like how oh yeah, that card makes sense in this rule set. I wouldn't have thought of that, you know? Like it would be kind of cool to like just see like maybe you could like toggle that on or off or something, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think, a great example is like Magic Reflect, and then you'll see, hey, there's um, Rekla is highlighted as a reflection shields summoner.
Yeah,
Or the I always forget his name, the 4 mana death immune magic guy, just
yeah,
stun.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, just the fact that you knew all of that is like it's pretty high level, just saying.
I play this game a little too much, I
Yeah,
think, DJ.
yeah.
I know, right?
No,
That's
I
the
know.
thing is like
But here's the thing: is we both know what you're talking about.
oh yeah, everybody knows. I'm always so used to like that's like the way I pick teams quickly. At least because at least before we even had the filters for the abilities, right? You just had to memorize, okay, there's this card. I just
Mhm.
memorized everything by how much mana it had, right? And then because you could filter by mana, like, you know, don't might not remember the name. I might not, but I'll know like all the abilities and what mana like almost everything has.
Yeah, yeah. Do you guys ever like in the middle of like the match is like counting down and you're like looking for an ability and you're like, what is the name of that damn ability again? It's like oh it's like no shield no I want the armor oh yeah protect right like you're like type in protect. I'm just like god damn it like what is the name of that thing again? I'm like trying
That's
to
why I want the
scroll through the long
icons,
list.
man. That's why I want the icons available. I,
Yeah,
I miss I miss that interface. I'm excited for, the battles has been identified as the last piece of the puzzle of
hmm.
bringing things up to the tech modernization, and kind of pushing that project across the board. Uh what they do with battles, I'm super excited for it. I'm glad they're taking their time. I think it's long overdue, but I'm hopeful that the reason it is long overdue is that we've got something special coming in the way of a very clean UX UI.
I really hope so too. I think that like what I saw at Splinterfest for Battles 2.0 is I think something that would do wonders for the game in terms of like just bringing it up to 2024, 2025. Because the game is already fun. Just need a little like sprinkle a little like
Polish.
polish.
See a spit and polish.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
you went to Splinterfest. I feel like every time we turn around, like I find out somebody else is at Splinterfest. So there was a
Were
lot of
you
people
there,
there.
Hap?
I was not there. No, no, no.
Oh, okay. I was
Not
like,
there
oh,
yet.
okay. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, no, yeah, I was there. I got to meet a bunch of people there, which was great. I had a great time. I genuinely really enjoyed it, and I really hope that we do another one. I already, talked to the wife about like if they do another one, I'm gonna go just so we're clear on this before we get married.
Oh, I
I'm a
like that.
nerd
There's
first, baby.
Okay,
part of the
she's
vows.
she's very understanding, so she was all about it. So, yeah, I would love to go to another one. I thought it was a great way for the community to like engage. I became even significantly more engaged after going. So I think just having events like that, like once you meet people in person, um, I think everybody like those people like feel more connected, right? And that's important.
Well, I think that speaks to we talked a little bit about this last week with Joey. It speaks to the absence of the social element in game, right? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
there's a lot of guys that I play that, I know for a fact as soon as that battle is over, there's going to be some shit talk in Discord or, tofu specifically. I know I'll be on the receiving end of a
I
tweet
love that. I
saying,
love seeing you guys on X going back and forth.
hey, he's one of my favorite opponents, man. He's probably got the better record on me, but there have been I have had my moments against Tofu. But yeah, it's just a fun piece that I think is
Yeah.
is sorely missing from Splinterlands. So yeah, we'll see how the creative team kind of embraces the social aspect.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that it is kind of highlighted as a desperate need for kind of taking the game to the next level.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, I 100% agree because like think about like the things that like our community is doing right now to like have that connection. We are like we're on YouTube, we're on, on Peak D, we're on Twitter, we're on in Discord. We're not having those moments in the game where other new players could see those moments necessarily and like interact and connect as well. Right. So we have to go outside of the game. I never like see you guys in game, right? Like we never have any interactions unless we happen to come across like a guild brawl or something, which I think you guys are in tier 5 or um yeah, so
yeah,
I'm in tier 4, I believe. So it's like you never have those interactions.
yeah.
It's rare, you know.
Let's shift gears. So we put a pin in the hardcore mode discussion a little bit earlier. Do we want to talk about that, or do we want to talk about Conclave Arcana? You pick
Yeah,
your poison, DJ. Where do we
I
want to
think
go?
I think I prefer Conclave Arcana. Yeah, because I don't we don't know anything about hardcore mode. We could just speculate, but I think that would be like we would just be speculating. Like
Yeah,
do you
sure.
have any thoughts on it? Like any clue?
No, not really.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's
it'd
do
be pure
Conclave Arcana.
speculation. Let's talk
Yeah.
next set. So we have received the proposal. I don't know if it's gone through the full proposal yet. I know it's in for voting.
Yeah.
I don't think it's complete yet. Looks like it's passing with flying colors. We got 2 days left, 91% overwhelming support, 200
Yep.
plus million SPS behind it.
Yep.
Um, I'm excited for we alluded to some of the implications earlier. I think it's going to do wonders for the game. I think it's going to actually reveal that leagues, despite not being present, can still exist when there's
I
not
hope
a
so.
$500 max set available on the market from Chaos Legion. Um, do you feel like let's kind of break it down into chunks here as far as timing? Do we feel like Conclave Arcana is coming at an appropriate time? Would you like to see it come a little bit later, assuming it wasn't for revenue purposes? Do we feel like the game is ready to kind of sunset Chaos Legion into Wild?
Yes.
Let's start there.
Yeah, I do. I do believe that it is time for Chaos Legion to be sunsetted into Wild. Um, I mean, part of me feels like, is it end of April? Is when the pre-sale is like what, beginning of April, and then it'll be released at the end of April. Is that what I heard? That sound right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the current estimates on timing. Yep.
Okay. I don't know. In some ways I do feel like that's still kind of far away. And uh part of me genuinely worries is that there's going to be a significant gap between when um Rebellion finally is out, which is what, end of November, December sometime. Um, and this gap between when Conclave Arcana like actually like comes out for new players. So like to me, we probably shouldn't be starting a huge like putting significant money into a marketing plan until we have stuff for people like new players to buy, right? So I mean that's the part that worries about me, but about it being so far away. When I heard you guys talking with Joey last week, though, him saying that like it originally was a mini set and that they kind of like already have that mini set done. In my mind, I like had a thought and I was just like, well, what if we broke up this new core set into like two or three parts, right? Does that make more sense? Because I mean, we got Bitcoin like knocking on the door of 70K again. And granted, like we could just sit sideways for another 6 months. Like we just like don't
Well,
know what's going to happen.
breaking news, DJ. It's at 71 and pushing.
Let's go. So like we just like don't know, right? Like it, but what we do know is we're not going to have anything between like December and end of April, right? That's what we do know. So like, what if like all of a sudden the crypto markets go crazy in December, January, February, March is like the alt season. Like, and I'm just making this up. I'm just saying, but it could be, right? And we have nothing to sell to new players, like, we don't have the new packs to sell to them, right? Like they're gonna be buying everything off the third party market. In that case, I guess I just worry about it being too far away. And like you said, I really want to see what happens when chaos is moved out. I really want to see like how that changes modern, how the rewards are in modern, how the league setup is for people that like had a really hard time with that. That it didn't really affect me, but I know it affected a lot of people, and I really want to see like how that changes. I think that's gonna be a big question mark that we're gonna have to like look in the data and see like, okay, are people actually playing against people that have similar like levels of cards, and are they like happy playing in gold now, right? Like are they able to go back and just play in gold and play and feel like they have like a fair shake at like the opponents that they're coming up against, are they enjoying it, things like that.
Let's address what your response was there, DJ. One bit at a time. So number one, um, with respect to it, and Hep, I know you're a huge proponent of always having something on shelves for new players coming in. Without addressing that as a concern, I know that that's a concern. We
Mhm.
have almost 1 million packs sitting in the DAO from Rebellion. When it's all said and done, I think that number should be right about where we're sitting with open packs. 900K open, 775 in the DAO.
Mhm.
I would love to see, what is the DAO going to do with these packs? Are we going to give them away? Are we going to be, looking to sell them? Are we going to be, opening them up and constructing rental decks? I would love to see something where the DAO could get listed as, we could have our own shop page for the DAO, and kind of, serve those gaps between core sets, because no matter who has been in charge, Aggie or Matt, we have seen and heard that the ideal time frame for core sets is, somewhere in that 12 to 15 months, and then there is a period of no new cards, allowing for the most recent set to kind of accrue some value and establish itself in the meta, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
During that gap, I feel like that's where the DAO should be offering these things for sale, and I don't know if the non-card market is the
but
best place to do that.
but
Um,
how do you do that though without without interfering with the third party markets? Like, how does the DAO sell rebellion packs without messing up like the free market of people that bought rebellion packs, hoping to sell them during a time when there's like a lull in packs to buy, right?
Well, maybe the Dow just prices them above, prices them closer to what the peg value is. I don't
But
know.
what if the peg value is, what if the current market price of these packs is above that?
Yeah, I don't know, but I
Yeah, no,
feel
I
like there
agree.
there should be something there. Does
No.
does the or to answer that, does the Dow operate as a free market salesman, uh, just like anybody else?
Yeah, but then you're putting you're entrusting like I assume Clay to like make those decisions on like when to undercut people and when not to. And then you're really gonna piss people off. Um, with that said, I don't disagree, by the way, and I actually had a good little back and forth with Dave McCoy on some Peak D article comment where I said the same thing that you just said. Like we need to have a plan for these cards, like in these packs. Like we shouldn't be sending them to the DAO without a plan. Like they should go in there and be like, okay, these are going to be like giveaway packs, guys, just so everybody knows. If that changes, then we need like a DAO proposal, right? But like there needs to be a plan for them because like guess what? You know how difficult it is to get people to agree on what to do with these packs? It's going to be almost impossible. And they're just going to be sitting there, right? It's just I mean and they're valuable. They could be very valuable for new players, but getting people now to agree on something that hasn't already been put in place is going to be very difficult.
Well, let's
Yeah,
let's
that's a really good point.
do let's put some brainstorming on air. Hep, do you have any thoughts? How should the DAO operate with these 750,000 packs? What do we? I don't think giveaways is the right answer. That's going to be the number one way to
Yeah,
piss people
I
off.
agree too.
Is
Yeah.
if we're giving away rebellion packs, yeah, talk about undercutting the market. Like here's you get a rebellion pack.
Yeah.
So I
Okay,
don't know.
Kale.
So, I mean, yeah, sell them at a markup. I mean, maybe we just need to say like, hey, we're going to sell them at a set price. Maybe that's a price that, increases every month until um,
Maybe it's just
the new
during the
set comes
gap.
out or something.
Yeah,
What?
maybe it's just during the gap. The Dow competes
Mhm.
only in that window when there's nothing available on shelves,
Mhm.
Because I mean, these
and
cards
that
are going to be in modern for a while, right? And it's like if you get new players coming in and the price does appreciate, then these packs will move. And it's not like that window is the only time people would want, those cards or the packs, right? Like people would
Yeah.
want them as long as they're in modern. Um, and yeah, I mean, if people who bought packs to speculate don't want to get undercut by the Dow, then they can buy the Dow packs themselves and sell them at a higher price if they think they can get, that's what they can do it.
would also if the Dow is confined to only selling its packs within that gap time frame when there's not a core set on shelves, that gives the pre-sale buyers, the guys like Tofu and Azurcon who went really heavy on packs, they would own the market once Conclave Arcana comes out. And then of course that's another problem. What do we do with the packs then? Um
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think we should definitely have a plan before Conclave Arcana comes out, like of what the intention of the packs are going to be.
I
And
would say
maybe,
before Rebellion ends,
yeah,
like
yeah,
six
yeah.
weeks
It
from
would
now.
be,
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Well,
Because
TPG
ultimately,
challenge. That's the
yeah,
next
there
one.
you go. Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
There's
Because
some
like at this
creative
point,
folks out there.
they're just gonna sit there. They're just gonna sit there and they're gonna like and let's say that like those 250,000 rebellion packs sit there for a year or two. And let's say like we do hit a bull run and all of a sudden they're like, 10, 15, $20 a pack. It's like now what are you gonna do with these damn things, right? Like if you start dumping them on the market, people are like it's just like a no win if you don't have a plan.
Well, even if there is a plan, people are going to get upset. But
Yeah, but you
I
know
mean,
the
at the end of the
plan
day,
before you buy them. You know what I mean? Like you are aware that these packs will hit the market during the gap. Like if that's the plan before you pay money.
Yeah. I mean, and that logic sort of, not sort of, it aligns well with, Matt kind of constructed the Rebellion sale mechanics to operate with the intention of you buy what you need.
Yeah.
I think that wasn't entirely true because I had a Max Rebellion set and not a good amount, but a fair number of those cards were maxed in gold foil. I was staked on conflicts. I still needed more if I wanted to get full airdrops. Um,
Mhm.
so you were required to buy above and beyond if you wanted that full, guaranteed airdrop card. But um, yeah, I completely agree, man. I think number one, we should try and set a precedent in the next 6 weeks. What is the plan for Rebellion packs?
Mhm.
Once Rebellion goes out of sale, and we should have that plan in place as a precedent before the Conclave Arcana presale goes live, so folks have an idea of what this will look like on an ongoing basis.
Yep. Because people are making their decisions based off of that information, right? And right now, there is this like idea that like when something goes to the DAO that's locked until there's a vote.
Yeah. Well, I know that there's kind of a difference of, I don't know how many of the folks that bought heavy into the Rebellion presale actually were buying to speculate on packs. Azurkhan as an example, I know he runs 3 or 4 alt accounts, all with Max Rebellion decks. I would imagine that he doesn't have any packs left over. Guys like Brave Tofu, uh, he just released a couple of YouTube videos where he was opening up a whole shit ton of Rebellion packs, and I know his plan was not to sell the packs, but to build more complete decks for his alt accounts also.
Yep.
So I don't
Azarkon has
know.
said before that he bought enough packs to give him the 4 complete sets he needs for his main and alt accounts, and that he was. That's my understanding is that he was not sitting on packs.
Yeah. So I
Hmm.
don't know how much pushback there would actually be from the voices that could potentially be affected by the DAO turning around and saying, "Hey, we're going to list in the free market for these packs."
Yeah, well,
Um,
well, hold on, time out. You can't. It's not just the packs. Once the packs
well,
go out,
sure,
they're cards, right? Like
of course,
it's just liquidity or
yeah,
inflation, kind of. But I think everybody should. I mean, I'm buying Rebellion cards based off I'm going into it saying like I understand that there's another quarter of a million packs out there. Like I get that.
no, it's 750,000. It's much bigger than that.
Okay, well, yeah. Then you go. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah. Well, I think it kind of speaks to different players too, right? Like, I think I have purchased maybe 50 Rebellion packs, maybe 15 or 20 of them were from the shop. The rest
Yeah.
were from the non-card market and Peak Monsters and stuff.
Yeah.
And I own a Max Rebellion deck. All of my purchases were from the card market. Uh, so yeah, I don't know.
I'm
I would
jealous.
rather not take the gamble, but that's just me. I would rather just ensure that I'm getting the, kind of the meta cards that I want and I need first, and then kind of
Yeah.
proceeding from there. But yeah. Well, so yeah, TPG challenge, count on it. That will be
Yeah, I
one
like
of the
that.
upcoming, I
What
think
about
in two weeks.
what
I'll
about
plan on doing that.
what about like and I this kind of fall into the giveaway thing a little bit, but what if like you got like a new player could get like a pack from the DAO after they like bought a Hive account and move through like X% of the new player experience, like the tutorial or something. You'd get a pack. I mean, hell, if we gave away 20,000 packs, that means we got 20,000 people who went through this process.
I'm
You
all
know,
about it. I love it.
it'd be kind of a cool thing to get, like one pack. But anyway, just
Yeah.
like I mean, we got to think of some creative ways to like use these things to like get either new players in or get money in the DAO. Because like right now, they're really just like they're just sitting there.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, let's go back to Conclave Arcana. One of the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
things that I was really happy to see is Matt his willingness and open-mindedness to adjust the mechanics of the sale by way of offering, I think there's 5 or 6 different pack types that you can purchase, including the starter pack. And along the same lines of what you just called out, DJ, the idea is that once Conclave Arcana is out, any subsequent spellbook purchase is going to include a starter pack, and there's no limit on the number of starter packs that can be minted. So until the end of the Conclave Arcana cell, there will be starter packs available versus something like the legendary packs. There's a very finite number attached to the number of legendary packs that can get minted. I don't know if I agree with all of the kind of conversation around what these pack types should look like and the prices and that sort of stuff. But and to Matt's credit, a lot of that stuff is still open to discussion, and he's willing to hear the community's feedback and adjust his numbers accordingly and that sort of stuff. The bigger win in my mind is that we've turned the page on just a $4 pack. There are additional options depending on the type of player that you are.
Yep. I also love the idea that we're having different types of offerings. I do wish. What's the starter pack? It's like, it's common and rares, and it's like what, 25 cards?
I think yes, that was the initial iteration. I think there has been an adjustment to $1 5-card packs.
Oh, he's thinking about doing that.
I think that's where the conversation has led to, and I think they will be transferable. I think one of the big, shout out to our buddy Jimmy, I think one of the big ideas that he had was, thinking about giveaways. It's much easier, and you can cover a lot more giveaways with $100 when it's a $1 pack versus a $5 pack. Yeah. So you just keep, there's no chance for gold foil, there's no chance for epic and legendary, which I think is fine.
Yeah. I love that. I love that idea. I think having that $1 price point is like it's like having those things right next to the cash register when you're checking out, right? It's like, hey, $1, yeah, throw me a pack, right? Because you just like love that kind of like feeling of opening up a pack, right? I know it's gonna be common and rares, but like these sets always have amazing common and rares in them. That like cards that
Moxie and Rebel summoners.
Yeah, exactly. So I love the idea. I'm glad that the community kind of pushed for having the $1 packs, because I think that those are going to be big sellers.
Have you guys started to think through a plan of attack for Conclave Arcana, or are we going to see the DC Deep Lurkers get its own summoner card, Heppy? Or are you going heavy on the pre-sale for a summoner, brother?
I don't think so. I don't think I can go that heavy.
Have you started thinking about what you're going to do to approach the new set?
I started thinking about it a little bit, actually, the last couple of days. I don't know, man. I don't know. I gotta like figure out like there's more thinking about like what do I need to do to like get my rebellion deck in shape enough to be able to kind of still play it at that goldish level in modern. Like I rely mostly on my Chaos Legion deck and summoners. Like I have not even all the legendary summoners, some of them. The only non-legendary summoners I have at that level, I think, are Avina and Rekla. Do I even have Rek? Yeah, I have Rekla at level 6. So yeah, so it's gonna be I was hoping that the price of rebellion cards would come down more after the airdrop ended, but they didn't come down as much as I thought.
You and everybody else, man. It's been a pleasant, I mean, it's been a pleasant surprise for all the guys who were saying, oh, rebellion's gonna plummet as soon as the utility's gone. But for for guys that were waiting for it specifically to build their decks. And it's kind of a kick in the pants, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. Well, so yeah, I kind of gotta like look at some of those cards that gotta build out. Yeah. I mean,
Hap, check the market like a couple times a day if you can. Just like peek on like just like Rebellion. I have sniped a few cards, Rebellion cards over the last couple months of like people who were just trying to get out. You
yeah.
know, I just sort by like the cheapest card, and then I switch like levels and max and single, like I mean all levels. And you just like sometimes I've seen a few cards on there. They're like, oh, and also like don't forget to check the gold foil versions. There are so many
Yeah.
times the gold foil versions are cheaper than the regular foil, which is wild.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's what I need to start doing, especially at least from like the summoners and stuff. So,
Yeah.
Well, it kind of makes me
yeah.
wonder, Hep, if at this point, if you choose to continue to compete in modern, if ignoring rebellion from a specifically like a summoner perspective is the better call. Because
Mhm.
I'm thinking about rule sets like Little League. I can't imagine Splinterlands proceeds with Little League not including Dragon. So maybe the next batch of summoners is going to move back to that 4 mana. Uh, maybe tactics will be there. I don't know. Or maybe we see a 3 mana dragon only summoner. I don't know.
Mm.
Um,
I could see us having like common summoners too, especially with that starter set,
yeah,
you
I,
know.
I think that has
Just
to be the case, right? Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, they could be rare, right? But yeah, no, I think common makes more sense, right?
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they
But
kind of replicate what we saw with Rebellion, where um, I don't know if we asked Joey on air last week about the next batch being the inverse of what we're seeing now. So we would see Life Death teamed up and Fire Water teamed up. I think Joey
hmm.
did we ask that on air?
He
You guys asked him everything.
he
We,
talked
we did
about
ask a
that. There
lot.
were they were. I think he made a comment about something how they were aware of which combinations they had done and which ones they haven't
Mhm.
done, and
Mm.
yeah, I don't think he went much further than that.
Side note, I do kind of hope that they like do include like some like things where like water you get like an extra damage if you're like going against a fire monster. I mean fire unit or something like I don't know. I just think it'd be cool to like have that kind of like obvious like synergy like or type of it. I he mentioned something like that, right? Didn't he?
He was talking about leaning into synergies for sure,
Yeah, yeah.
which I think is awesome, and I think Eleanor was kind of what spurred that conversation. I think as
Yeah.
being the precedent for what synergies
Mhm.
could look like. Um,
Yeah. And then his
Rick Loneman.
Rick Lonerman. Do you know how many times I was like friggin' looking through the lore and like trying to like Google search Rick and then Lonerman, not realizing it was like one
It's
goddamn
one word. Yes.
Jesus. That is I was like, what is this? How do I find this guy?
Yeah, shout out to Tails. It didn't take him long. He
Yeah.
must be, pretty tuned in with the lore because he called it out, I think within 24 hours of that episode going live. I did
Hmm.
send him some Chaos Legion packs. Hopefully he got something good there.
Yeah.
Uh but
Nice.
yeah, it's Palace, Pep.
I
I
got
don't know if you saw
myself a
that.
new little gold foil friend based off of
Oh,
that.
nice.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I was
I saw
talking to Matt Clark about it. He was saying that he doesn't remember a time where a card was retroactively bestowed a new ability, which
yeah.
which is kind of cool.
Well, I mean, I guess like the way it's the direction that I think they're trying to go is they're trying to do stuff like Eleanor, right? They're like trying to make these cards like where you can like play them with other cards. So I think obviously that Rick Loneman is gonna have some ability where he can call Paulus and Paulus must have to have an ability to also like be able to like interact with him or like get like an upgrade of some sort when they play them together. That's my guess. It's not going to be an ability where like if you play him on his own, he's going to be stronger. It's going to be like you have to play him with this other card. That's my guess.
No, I think that's fair because if you read the lore, Palace
Yeah.
is is Rick Loneman's Griffin, and he like nursed him back from near
Yeah,
death injury
like a
or something
battle of
like
some
that.
sort. Yeah.
Yeah,
Then when I read the lore, I was like, I have to have this card.
I was lucky, man. That's a card I've liked and I've already that's like one of the Rebellion cards I got very early on. So I already have it, which is great. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Lookout, especially like the Lookout and having it the reach behind the lookout
Yeah.
is good. So that
Did he say, and I apologize for missing this, but did he say that that Rick Loneman card is going to be like one of these promos coming up, or is it going to be part of like Conclave Arcana?
I
it
thought he
is
said
the
it was a
next
promo,
promo.
right? Yeah.
Is the
It's the
next
next one.
promo?
Yeah,
Oh, very cool.
the artwork is on the Legends page, I think.
Oh,
Yes.
I missed that somewhere.
Yeah, they haven't announced stats and stuff yet.
Oh, wait. Okay, so okay, pause for a second. Wait, I thought we were doing the 100-day card next.
I think they're
We're
going to
not doing
run
that.
concurrently.
They're running concurrently? Oh, no way. I didn't realize that.
Let's talk about the auction card. I feel
Okay,
like
great.
that's I think it's a mistake to run them concurrently. I feel like there's no way around it's going to cannibalize sales one way or the other. You
Jesus.
know,
Yeah.
granted the auction card will run well in extent of the promo cards. Uh, but why not
Yeah,
just
but
use it
but it's a hundred
closer
day
to the
auction. It's a 100-day
yeah,
auction. So
yes,
like you're gonna have like just days of cards left.
right.
Yeah.
Why not, I'm kind of the mindset of using the very scarce, very exclusive auction card as kind of a marketable event for Conclave Arcana. Put a Conclave Arcana frame on it. Maybe introduce
Yeah.
it into the game as the initial, first card in the meta with
Yeah.
the Conclave Arcana frame, um, and use it to attract new players. Like that Matt was talking about, including mint numbers as part of the serial number.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I stand. I don't know what is the rush of getting the auction card out there so quickly. What are your thoughts, DJ?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I actually like, I mean, as you can tell, I didn't realize actually that the promo card and the 100-day auction promo card were gonna run at the same time. Um so I'm like just processing it now. But my initial gut reaction is that is going to cannibalize it. And you got to remember too that like I think the community is like really kind of just put down a significant amount of money on these last two promos. Um, Not saying that like there aren't people with deep pockets, but I think in this last promo, especially for like Night Stalker, I think like the average person reached into their wallet to get Night Stalker, right? Which was cool. And I'm not sure that that's going to happen with these ones, right? Like, and are we going to have the whales focus on the 100-day auction and Rick Bonnerman's like not going to get the type of sales that he could get?
And the
So,
next two batches, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
it's going to
exactly.
affect the sales of 6 cards, not just or
Right.
how many more promo pairs do we have? 2 or 3?
I think we had five in all plus the 100-day auction, right? So for like six, I think we agreed to five, didn't we? And then the 100-day auction
Yeah.
was like an extra.
So
So
there's
we've done
3 more
two. We
pairs
have
to
three
come.
more. I think we have three more pairs. Um, so yeah, I like your idea of including the 100-day auction more closer towards the release of the next set. Um, I mean, it's exciting to do it now. I just didn't realize the other promo was happening so soon. I thought we were putting a pause on those genuinely, all of them, until like the 100-day auction was over. I thought that's what we were focusing on.
No,
So,
7 days until the Rick Loneman
wow.
sale goes live.
All right.
And I would guess that's the first auction day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it's too late to adjust. It did sound like Matt is pretty staying pretty steadfast in his thinking that the auction card should go live now, and he was kind of pushing back, saying, "Well, if it's successful, we could always run more." But I
Yeah.
don't think we're, it goes back to doing too much at once, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Granted, there was a period of months and months where there wasn't new stuff available for the whales to purchase, but now it feels like it's a little bit, it's gone too far the other way. I would much prefer to see the auction card push back to late
Yeah.
Q1 of next year. Um,
Yeah. Well, I'm reading one of the Splinterlands tweets right now that says that the auction house opens on the 29th, which is tomorrow for me, and the bidding starts on November 6th.
mm,
So,
shoot.
I mean, that's coming up quick, right? And they're doing 25-hour increments too, which I don't really understand, but I'm sure there's a reason.
It's for time zone purposes, as far as I understand.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So it'll
How do you feel
naturally
about
say
sorry,
again.
go ahead. I was saying, how do you feel about the card itself?
Uh, I don't know. It looks awesome. The abilities are very cool. It looks
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
It'll be a different story, especially if we see force field disappear. Um,
Mm,
but the amount of diversity by way of summoner that you can bring with her makes it really, really fun.
yeah,
You could take the dragon route, you could go tofu, you could go cryptic, you could go lorcus, you could go,
yeah, yeah,
pretty much any direction there. Which I think bodes well for, what is it, Heloise is her name? Heloise
yeah.
the Hollow.
Eloise the Hollow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I'm guessing, and this is just pure speculation, napkin math. I'm guessing that card's not going to go for under 500 or 600 bucks for a regular foil. I don't
hmm
know if I'm willing to. The promo cards are a little bit different because I can kind of DCA in as my wallet allows, but
hmm
with her being a max copy from the get, I think it by design it kind of excludes me as target audience, which is okay. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not going
I
to
was,
sell the farm to get one if that's what you're
yeah, yeah.
getting
I,
to.
I, I was guessing 750 on average for regular foil, but I don't think I thought about it just being max level, which I did know that, but I don't think I fully like processed that when I was coming up with my number. And I see what you're saying for sure.
Well, I think the fact that, at least as far as I understand, the gold foil biddings are going to be identified ahead of time,
Yeah.
and therefore none of the regular foils have a chance to turn gold. I think
Yeah.
that lowers the floor on,
Cool. Yeah,
or
regular foil.
or yeah, it lowers the ceiling, I guess, on how high the regular foil biddings will go.
That's why
Um,
I made a comment somewhere. I wanted Matt to make one of them turn regular foil into gold foil. Just like somewhere randomly RNG into that, not the other 96, right? That like one of those would turn. So they're just like in the back of like every person who's thinking about buying one of these, like with their minds, to like this could be the one. Could be the one that turns gold, right? Until it happens, obviously, and then
well,
then the regular.
what if it happens day one? I would almost prefer just, a 0.005% chance that any of them could turn gold. And that way it keeps the bids exciting. You just never know. You could
Could be
strike
one, could be
later.
two. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the chances of it minting more than two, it'd be insane. Um, yeah, no, actually, I like that idea better. That would keep every single auction with that like small chance, right? And like just leave it up to RNG. But I do like that we are doing four of them that so that whatever whales that absolutely want that gold foil can just bid it up. I don't mind that.
Hep, you getting a Heloise?
I doubt it. No, no.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's the thing is like the one thing you know, if they did one of these that was um like a neutral summoner like Lux Vega and it was really good, I would maybe think about it. Right? 'Cause then that solves a lot of my um problems with not having rebellion summoners. Yeah, I could just
Yeah.
get the one card and and just run it out there with a bunch of stuff. So, you know, that's like the case I would definitely think about trying to get one of these auction cards, but yeah, I doubt I'll be in the mix for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I was trying to think about Heloise and like what like summoners to play with her and things like that. And I was like thinking like, I mean, because for the people that don't know, she has a taunt opportunity, and I actually can't remember the names of the other abilities, but basically like she has 100% retaliate when she's like killed, and then she has like a resurrection of some sort. I don't I
Yeah,
don't actually
I'm
remember.
looking at the card now. It's
Okay.
spite is
Yep.
the counterattack piece, and then soul
Yep.
siphon is
Oh,
the
right.
other one.
So she resurrects with 100% armor and 50% of max health rounded down. Okay. Yeah, I mean, imagine if you play her with like like with like a resurrect card too. It's like she's gonna go wild, right? And she's hitting for 8, right? She's hitting for 8 and she has opportunity. So like um does uh does the new dragon summoner have execute as one of its tactics? I can't remember now off the top of my head.
Sure does.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
blast.
imagine giving her execute with friggin' eight da melee damage. God.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so I mean, she is a little slow, 3 speed. I mean, it's not great. Uh
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. It feels like a very fun card. I don't know if
yeah.
it's
You don't think it's game
it,
breaking, what you're saying?
it, and that's probably a good thing. Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can toss her. So I just pulled up the green and black summoners, and you could
Mhm.
toss her with Cryptic. With the squirrel, you could give her True Strike.
Oh, that might be clutch.
With
Yeah.
Lorcus, you can toss either Life Leech or Trample,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
which is also huge. Tofu, you could give her Scavenge and
Yeah.
Triage. Rekla, you can go Reflection Shield. So
Yeah.
she's super versatile just based on the summoners that are able to get roped into to play her. And then of course the
Yeah.
dragon stuff like you just called out, Nidhogger giving
Nidhogger,
her
yeah.
blast. I mean, those are massive blast bombs that she's
Oh,
tossing out
right.
there.
Right. She'd be hitting for like what, 4? Like, isn't it half
Yeah,
or something? Yeah.
yeah.
Do you guys think the taunt on her is like almost like a dehabilitation? Or do you think it's like a positive because it'll trigger her other, it's more likely to trigger some of her other like abilities, that retaliate thing. I mean, spite, I should say.
Yeah, it's tough because like does it with only 3 speed and the taunt, is it gonna, you know, how many attacks are you gonna get in before this thing gets knocked out, right? Because it's not gonna be, even if it respawns, whatever, it's not gonna be able to attack that turn that it dies, presumably.
Well, it does attack right away
Oh,
with
when it
spite.
dies, right,
Yeah.
right, yeah,
So it's gonna do a counter attack no matter
yeah.
what.
Okay.
I
Yeah. Oh,
wonder.
yeah.
So
Oh, it's
think
interesting.
about putting her with Trample with
Oh gosh.
Lorcus. Every time she counterattacks, she has a chance to trigger a trample, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
She
goodness,
actually might
yeah.
also be good with oh God, what is the? I think it's like is it Riftwatch? No. Well, who's the? There's a summoner, a fire
Dallin,
summoner.
Dallin,
No, 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 no. We're not talking about Talon. Get out of here. The fire summoner that has armor piercing.
Yasik?
Yeah,
yes.
no, Yasek. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Right. So like, if she's hitting for 8. And if you have like an inspired or whatever, I mean, like get up to like 9 or fucking 10, right? It's like with that armor piercing, it's like she could potentially just rip through people.
Well, Yasik is just fire, so
Oh, that's right.
he's
That's
off the
right. That's
table.
right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I always get so excited about thinking about these cards and I forget that they actually have elements.
Yeah, you can't do that. But
I can't just like do whatever
I
I
think
want.
you know the taunts I think is I think you calling it as a debilitation I think is appropriate, and therefore I
Yeah.
think running her with a double taunt is the way to maximize. So like
Hmm.
you could put her behind Iziar with Tofu, for example. Um,
Behind
and then
Izzy.
she's
Oh,
just
like in the back line?
correct. Yeah, because she's
Okay.
opportunity and Iziar is going to take, that's how if double taunt is on the board, the opposing team is always going to go for the taunt that's closer to the front first.
Closer to the front. Oh, that's smart. Yeah.
So then
That might give
she
her
would,
time.
yeah,
Mm. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
she's definitely going to be interesting. And I mean, I think we'll see how the sales go. I hope they do well. I do hope that the excitement around her and the type of auction it is doesn't take away from the other promo auction, which would be a shame.
I don't think there's any way around it, man. I think
Yeah.
it's gotta cannibalize sales, no matter how you
Yeah.
slice it. But
Well, we'll see. I
um,
mean, the numbers will tell us, right? Like we have a pretty good gauge of the average of what those promo cards go for now, right? We've had two of them. So hopefully this next set gets us somewhere in that general ballpark.
well, I have spoken with a certain whale in our ecosystem, and he has assured me that he's not sure how many copies of Heloise he's going to be going after, but he will be placing bids just to ensure that the floor is at an appropriate level.
Yes.
So he might end up with a lot more than he intends, but the floor will be reasonable according to our conversations. Which, yeah,
Yes.
it's going to be interesting to watch how this thing pans out.
Yeah. I will be excited to see how it happens too. And I know a couple of people who are going to be aiming for those gold foils, which I think is awesome too.
Are you going to go after one, DJ?
No, no.
Regular foil either?
You know, I just don't think it's in my budget right now. I actually I've been just been sniping Rebellion cards that I'm seeing coming on like the market, you know, like under $100. Like, I don't have like the cards that I need. I don't have like the only legendary summoner I have is Nidhogger. And and like I don't have any of the other legendary rebellion summoners. I don't have Venka, I don't have Grimbar Noon Smith, I don't have Manara. I don't have like some of the most important cards because they're so damn expensive right now. So I just like I don't think I can like make I don't think I'm going to be in the have them be able to be in the market for her right now. It's just like a little bit out of my price range. So, who knows? With the crypto bull run, anything could happen, but I doubt it. So, I'll be renting her probably to try her out.
Well, I think she should be available for ghost card challenges tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be
Would
fun.
be my guess. And at
Yeah.
the very least, you can still scratch the itch of playing her, even if it's you know it's inconsequential. It's just for bragging rights, but and just for fun. But um, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Well, yeah, we're well into the 2 hour range here. I know we were
Oh
going
yeah,
for setting records, but I know it's getting late on that side of the world.
for
Um,
sure.
anything else you want to kind of touch on, DJ, before we put a bow on
I'm
this baby?
I mean, I was gonna ask you guys how you guys felt about Rebellion being part of the Arcane Concana. I can't say that damn word. Being part of the wagons at 50%. So like just curious like where you guys were at with that before I give my quick opinion and then we should wrap it up.
Well, someone who wanted the price of Rebellion cards to come down a lot more than they did. I'm not happy with it,
Not a
but
fan, not a fan, right? Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
actually think that was a great move by the team to keep prices a little bit more stable. And so hopefully it builds some confidence for people to buy into the next set.
Well, I think
Yeah,
it
fair
just
point.
goes to show Chaos Legion really is the anomaly. It's not the new
Yeah,
status
yeah,
quo.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm with you guys. I think it's good for Rebellion holders. It's going to reward those guys who did go heavy into Rebellion.
Hmm.
Mondroid, I saw him. I think it was in the DAO, the Discord DAO chat around the Conclave Arcana proposal, and he was really mathing out what kind of return he's seen going in on Rebellion. And it's when you see the math that he's put out there, it was an
Yeah,
absolute no-brainer to go as heavy into the pre-sale as he did. He saw a return in spades,
yeah.
um, partly through the airdrops, partly through tournaments, a lot of it through ranked. Um, yeah, it's some absurd. I don't quote me, but it's something absurd like 700,000 SPS or something accrued across tournaments and ranked
Unbelievable.
over the life of Rebellion, which
Yeah.
even if it stays at a penny, you're seeing significant returns there. Um,
But let me ask you guys this, like, so Rebellion only had their wagons with people who bought Rebellion. How do you think that's going to affect the next set, though, where 50% of Rebellion cards will be counted towards the points for the airdrops?
we see a bigger point threshold minimum, I think.
Okay.
Uh, so I think the team will be very careful to protect the airdrops with respect to ensuring that getting a max rebellion set is not going to ensure you're seeing anywhere close to Nidhogger with a max rebellion set. I think I had 6 guaranteed drops. I you know that would cut down to maybe 2 or 3.
Hmm.
Would be my best guess in terms of how
Yeah.
the math is going to work out. But
Yeah.
um, yeah,
I'm actually really happy that I bought a bunch of wagons right before they stopped taking vouchers.
That's
I, I
smart.
I rolled the dice. I was just like, you know what? I think they're gonna keep using these things, but I do realize that we're gonna have to pay extra money now to like get them upgraded. But you
the
know,
repairs is fucking annoying to me. I would rather we talked a little bit about it the past couple of episodes. I would much rather see additional reasons to buy more wagons as means to an end of a token sink instead of paying for repairs on each bloody conflict. It just the psychology behind that is annoying to me. And there is time to work it out, but yeah, in a nutshell, that's how I feel about conflict repairs.
yeah,
Yeah, because they also said, but like, oh, would you buy these wagons? Like, you're gonna be able to use them over and over again. And in essence, you're not.
yeah.
It's like whether you repair it or have to buy a new one, like what's the real difference,
I guess it depends on like what the cost ends up being for the wagons too. But I do hope that like offer like Conclave Arcana like wagons like for people, right? That they're not gonna just buy like old wagons and then have to upgrade those, right? That would be kind of silly.
Yeah, I would guess that there's Conclave Arcana wagons for sale,
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
my assumption. But yeah,
Yeah.
remains to be seen what the pricing looks like. But in general, I'm a fan of
Yeah.
Rebellion becoming available for future conflicts. I like the idea of having a full modern wagon. I would like to see it extend further the other direction and offer wild wagons for some other sort of reward. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. You could even like argue that like the 50% reduction is like you're using an old wagon, right? And you're using the last set's cards, right? Um if you want to put any of the Conclave Arcana like cards on wagons, you need to get the new wagons. I don't know. But I guess that wouldn't work either. So I don't know. I mean, I kind of go back and forth of like whether we should pay to repair them and upgrade them or whatever the case is. If it's not a big cost, I don't think I'm going to have a big problem with it. I get like that you're saying the principle of it is not great. So it's like it does feel a little like nickel and diming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to Matt's credit, we got 6 months at least
Yeah.
to hammer out the details, and I am guessing that what we see finally put into the, and we need to come up with a shorthand for Conclave Arcana because it is a bloody mouthful.
Yeah, dude, I can't. I like literally can't say it. So I need to come up with my own. I'm just gonna call it like Arcana or something. I don't know. But
Yeah,
CCA, the CCA said.
yeah, yeah, there we
yeah,
go.
there you go. Yeah. All right, gentlemen. DJ, long overdue. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Absolute pleasure hosting you, man. I hope this is the first of many. We'd love to have you back anytime. Look forward to your Land Giants 2.0, and hopefully we see that, continue to get rubber to the road and traction towards, eventual production on something like that. And welcome back anytime, man. Thanks for making time to hop on with us, dude.
Love it. Thank you guys so much. It was like a pleasure being on here, and I'm really happy that I got my first time on here. It's like a big deal to me. So thank you guys.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks for coming, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Cool.
All right, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in. Check out the TPG challenge, Dominion, the suggested replacement for Gladius cards, parts 2 and 3 coming up the next couple of weeks. As mentioned earlier, there's a big prize pool up for grabs, and we know that there's some creative folks out there. Hopefully you lean into it. So look for that post in the next couple of days to kick off round 2. Otherwise, we will see you guys next week. In the meantime, you have been listening to
The People's Guild.